Welcome to Charette Theory. In today's episode, Chic Spring Living Room Light, Nature and Harmony, we explore how the design of your living space can respond to the rhythms of the natural world with beauty, simplicity, and care. We're not just decorating. We're cultivating a space that feels alive, with purpose, peace, and presence. Welcome back. Let's begin again with the light. As winter recedes and the light returns, something in us begins to shift. The days grow longer, the air softens, and even the smallest corners of our home start to whisper a familiar invitation: make space for something new. Not hurried or loud, but quietly transformative. A kind of renewal that reflects the world just outside our windows. Spring is not only a change in season, it's a shift in the way we live. It offers us a rare opportunity to rethink our homes, not as containers for things, but as ecosystems of feeling, flow, and function. This journey isn't about maximal changes or consumer-driven updates. It's about aligning with the season's natural energy. It's about editing your space, not adding to it. Replacing the heavy with the light. The artificial with the organic. The stagnant with the dynamic. We're here to reclaim softness, celebrate nature, and invite in harmony, through light, material, and mindful intention. From lush indoor plants to sheer curtains, botanical prints to sustainable textures, this guide will help you transform your living room into a serene retreat that honors both the planet and your pace of life. We'll explore not just what to add, but what to let go of, for making room for stillness, for air, for beauty. So whether you're here to fully embrace a new season of style, or simply make small, soulful updates, this is your space to explore. We begin with what is most alive. Before the accessories, before the paint colors, before any structural change, bring in something that breathes. Greenery is the soul of spring design. It doesn't just symbolize life, it is life. And in an eco-chic living room, plants aren't afterthoughts. They're the foundation. In spring, when the outside world reawakens, bringing natural life indoors is more than a visual decision. It's a kind of grounding. A reminder that you, too, are part of this seasonal rhythm, that life can be soft, green, slow, and steady. Start simply. Choose plants that match your lifestyle, not just your aesthetic. A cascading pothose, trailing down a bookshelf like a waterfall of leaves. A peace lily, low maintenance and graceful, with blooms that appear like folded white whispers. A bird's nest fern, sculptural and tender, resting in the soft light of a windowsill. If your space is small or your hands less experienced, don't be discouraged. One well-tended succulent on a coffee table. A modest snake plant standing sentinel in the corner. Even a sprig of fresh herbs on a kitchen pass-through can create a sense of living texture. It's not about how many. It's about how they feel, to you, in your space. Think of each plant as a living sculpture. Place one high on a mid-century shelf, its leaves catching morning sun. Tuck another into a handmade ceramic pot near your reading nook. Hang a trailing variety in a window to draw the eye upward and soften hard lines. You're not decorating, you're composing a slow, breathing landscape. And when it comes to containers, choose with care. Let your pots tell a story, unglazed terracotta, hand-thrown ceramics, woven baskets. Each material adds an earthy layer, reinforcing the connection between design and nature. Favor irregular textures. Organic shapes. Nothing too polished. The goal is presence, not perfection. If you're styling multiple plants, vary the height, leaf size, and tone of green to keep the space visually balanced. Let one be tall and dramatic. Let another spill gently across a low shelf. Let some stand alone. Give them air. Give them quiet. And give them light. Observe your home like a garden. Notice where sunlight lingers during the day. Let that guide your placement. Plants will respond not only to the environment, but to your attention. Because to live with plants is to live with reminders. Of growth. Of patience. Of care. They ask little but give much: cleaner air, softer corners, and a sense that your living room is just that, living. And in the context of spring, they're not merely decor. They are an affirmation that new life belongs here, now. So let them take root. Let them become part of your daily rhythm. Let them quietly transform your home, leaf by leaf. Not all nature must be alive to speak to us. Some of it whispers from the wall, pressed, painted, or printed, inviting the eye to pause and the mind to soften. In a spring living room rooted in eco-chic philosophy, Botanical Prints offer more than decoration. They serve as visual echoes of the world just beyond the window, wild, rhythmic, and full of quiet complexity. These are not meant to mimic life, but to honor it. A way of saying, I see you, season. I see you, bloom. When choosing Botanical Prints, begin not with color, but with emotion. What mood do you want to invite into the space? Calmness? Curiosity? A sense of rootedness? For serenity, reach for minimalist ink sketches of wildflowers or monochrome fern studies. For movement and light, try watercolors in soft pastels, leafy vines, petal bursts, or drifting branches that evoke the gentleness of early spring winds. Don't be afraid to mix styles. Vintage botanical illustrations with aged paper edges pair beautifully with modern, abstract leaf motifs. A well-composed gallery wall might blend one bold, central piece with smaller surrounding studies, each a different note in a natural chorus. Let the arrangement breathe. Negative space is part of the design. It lets the artwork, and the viewer, settle. And remember, the materials that frame the image are just as important as the image itself. Choose natural frames, light oak, raw bamboo, recycled metal, or handmade clay, to ground the print in your eco-conscious aesthetic. Avoid overly ornate styles. The frame should be a window, not a boundary. Botanical imagery doesn't need to be limited to walls. Let it flow into textiles, throw pillows embroidered with delicate sprigs, curtain panels printed with subtle floral patterns, or even a linen lampshade washed in vines. If you introduce pattern, do so with balance. Let busier prints be softened by surrounding solids. Let color complement, not compete. You might also consider pressing your own flowers, from a neighborhood walk or your own garden. Frame them in floating glass and hang them where light can pass through. This makes the print personal, seasonal, and transient, something that reflects your own experience of spring. Because botanical prints, when chosen with care, become more than aesthetic choices. They are bridges between the natural and the human. Between the wildness of the outdoors and the order we bring to our interiors. They remind us that beauty can be still. That nature has shape and form even in 2 dimensions. And that a single line, a single leaf, a single blush of color, when placed with intention, can transform a blank wall into a living memory of the season. Let the walls tell a quiet story of spring. A story of growth, even in stillness. In spring, we often think first of color, blushes of pink, fresh greens, pale skies. But beneath the palette, beneath the blooms, there's another layer to explore: texture. The quiet, tactile dimension of a room. And when you want your living room to feel truly eco-chic, natural materials become your most eloquent storytellers. They speak not through pattern or shape, but through presence. A jute rug, underfoot, reminds you of open fields. A rattan chair, curved and handmade, carries the warmth of sun-dried fiber. A linen throw blanket, rumpled and soft, invites you to rest without pretense. Each piece says something without raising its voice. This is the beauty of nature in design. It offers texture that is never uniform, always alive. Variations in grain, in weave, in imperfection. The wabi-sabi of everyday objects. The honesty of something that once grew, was shaped, and now rests quietly in your home. Start by choosing your foundation. A rug is often the largest canvas for texture. Swap out thick, heavy winter versions for flat weave cotton, hemp, or sisal. These natural fibers feel lighter underfoot and allow air to move more freely through the room. Then layer in the furniture. A wooden coffee table, preferably vintage or reclaimed, grounds the space. Choose pieces with visible knots, raw edges, or a matte finish. Let the wood's age be part of its character. A wicker or cane accent chair adds visual openness while nodding to mid-century roots. Even a small bamboo side table can make a strong statement in a subtle way. Storage can also become sculpture. Use woven baskets for holding throws, books, or everyday clutter. Choose soft, rounded shapes in straw, sea grass, or rope. Place them low, near the floor, adding not just utility, but a sense of organic rhythm to your layout. Textiles complete the story. Switch out synthetic materials for linen, cotton, wool, or recycled blends. A nubby linen pillow, a gauzy cotton curtain, a hand-loomed throw across the back of your sofa. Let their textures layer and intersect, each one bringing its own quiet weight. For surfaces, consider pieces made of clay, stone, or ceramic. A handmade bowl on a shelf. A river rock used as a paperweight. A small lamp with a base that feels like it was formed by water and time. These accents don't scream for attention, but they hold it, gently. In this way, your space becomes more than stylish. It becomes felt. Touched. Known. Natural materials bring a kind of honesty into a room. They don't pretend to be more than they are. They weather gracefully. They age beautifully. And in doing so, they align your living room with the season, an environment that is simple, thoughtful, and fully awake. Because eco-chic isn't about stripping things down to emptiness. It's about choosing well, and letting those choices reflect your values, sustainability, longevity, authenticity. So touch your home. Let it touch back. Let the materials remind you that beauty is not always in the new, but in what's real. Light is not just what we see, it's what we feel. It shapes how we experience a space, how time moves through a room. And in spring, light returns with a quiet insistence. Earlier mornings. Golden afternoons. That subtle glow that tells us the world is shifting, softening. Awakening. In a spring living room, light should not be blocked. It should be welcomed, filtered, and celebrated. One of the simplest, most transformative ways to do this is by dressing your windows with sheer curtains. Sheer curtains are not about privacy or darkness. They are about diffusion, that elegant balance between transparency and texture. They take harsh sunlight and turn it into something tender. Something you want to sit inside of. Choose natural fabrics when possible, cotton voile, linen blends, or soft gauze. These materials move with the wind. They don't hang stiff or heavy. Instead, they respond to air, to light, to you walking by. A curtain should feel like a breath, not a wall. Keep the palette gentle. Whites, warm ivories, oat, or pale sand allow light to pass through without glare. If you wish to introduce a tint, consider a blush pink or misty green, tones that echo the season without overpowering it. Installation matters. Don't stop your curtains at the window frame. Mount your rods higher and wider than the window itself. This elongates the room, lets the glass stay unobstructed, and makes the entire space feel more expansive. And when the curtains are drawn, they shouldn't feel like a closure. They should feel like a veil, a soft filter that calms the space, rather than sealing it off. In the eco-chic home, even your fabric choices speak. Seek out ethically sourced materials, hand-dyed or hand-woven panels, or even vintage shears repurposed from older textiles. These carry not just softness, but story. And don't forget, shears are not only functional, they're poetic. They move with the day. They ripple when the windows are open. They cast dappled shadows on the floor that change from hour to hour. Light becomes active again. Not just illumination, but presence. Let your curtains be part of that rhythm. Because spring isn't about brightness alone. It's about the quality of light. The way it lands. The invitation it offers. And in your living room, sheer curtains allow that invitation to feel tangible. You don't just notice the season, you inhabit it. mirrors do more than show us our reflection. In a well-designed room, they become gateways for light, for movement, for mood. In spring, when daylight grows more generous, we have a rare opportunity to not just let light in, but to multiply it. And that's where mirrors find their quiet magic. They don't create light. They redistribute it. They stretch it across a room. They carry it into corners. They soften the boundaries between spaces, making rooms feel bigger, brighter, and somehow more open to the world. But mirrors in an eco-chic living room aren't just decorative, they're intentional. Choose 1 or 2 well-placed mirrors, rather than scattering them like accessories. Placement is everything. Hang a mirror opposite a window, and it will double the sense of openness. Set one at an angle to a light source, and it will bounce warmth into the darker parts of the room. Frame choices matter. Stay away from overly ornate, high-gloss materials. Instead, lean toward natural finishes. Unlacquered brass, matte black steel, bleached wood, or even hand-molded ceramic. Let the frame be a quiet continuation of the eco-conscious story you're telling elsewhere. If your space needs softness, opt for round or oval shapes. These break up harsh lines and bring a sense of flow. If you're drawn to structure, choose geometric silhouettes, but keep them minimal. Think mid-century arches, or sleek square forms with thin edges. You can also experiment with mirror groupings. A trio of small round mirrors hung asymmetrically, for example, can create a sculptural wall piece that still serves a purpose. The idea is not to create symmetry, but to reflect movement. Light. You. And while mirrors are visual tools, they also carry metaphor. They remind us that design is not just about appearance. It's about awareness. Reflection, both literal and emotional. A well-placed mirror invites you to notice the changing light. To see how your space evolves throughout the day. To observe yourself moving through it, not as a critic, but as a participant. Because spring is about reconnection. With nature. With your home. With yourself. So when you choose a mirror, don't think of it as a surface. Think of it as a lens. A way to frame what already exists, and make it feel, somehow, more alive. Let it catch the morning sun. Let it echo the leaves of your indoor plants. Let it expand your room not by square feet, but by sensation. Because in an intentional space, mirrors are not just tools of design. They are tools of awareness. Color is not just something we see, it's something we feel. It affects how we wake, how we rest, how we move through our most personal spaces. And in spring, when the world softens and reawakens, your living room becomes an extension of that change. It should feel open, gentle, and alive. And much of that begins with your palette. Spring doesn't demand a riot of color. It asks for clarity, for lightness, for the kind of tones that reflect, not just sunlight, but serenity. Begin with a base of white or off-white, not stark, but softened ivory, cream, or the color of raw cotton. These neutrals create visual space. They allow everything else, your plants, your textures, your light, to breathe. Then layer in tones inspired by nature, the kind you might find on a quiet walk. A pale sage green, like new leaves. A dusty rose, like petals caught in morning light. A soft sky blue, like spring air before a breeze. A sun-washed beige or wheat yellow, warm and familiar. These are not statement colors. They are mood colors, subtle enough to support the space, strong enough to shape it. If you're not ready to repaint walls or invest in large changes, start with textiles and accessories. Swap out dark throw pillows for pastel-toned linen covers. Trade in moody rugs for soft woven pieces in muted hues. Drape a blush-colored throw over your sofa. Even a few ceramic vases in complementary colors can shift the tone of a room. The goal is to create harmony, not contrast. Each color should feel like it belongs beside the next. Like petals in the same bloom. In an eco-chic home, color should also reflect sustainability. Look for plant-based dyes, low VOC paints, and naturally pigmented fabrics. These don't just look beautiful, they carry intention. A connection to process. To origin. And remember, spring light is active. It moves, it shifts. So choose colors that interact well with it. Notice how that pale green curtain becomes luminous in the morning. How that wheat-toned rug feels golden by sunset. These are small seasonal miracles, and they're meant to be felt. Because in the end, a light color palette is not about aesthetic minimalism. It's about creating emotional room. Room to rest. Room to breathe. Room for light to enter. It's an act of letting go of the dark, the heavy, the cluttered, and welcoming the fresh, the subtle, the alive. Let your living room become a reflection of the season. Not just visually, but in how it makes you feel. There are few gestures as timeless, as gentle, and as immediate as placing fresh flowers in a room. In spring, this gesture becomes even more powerful. It's a form of invitation. A way of saying, the world is blooming, and so is my home. Fresh flowers are not simply decorations. They are living sculptures, offering color, form, and impermanence. They remind us that beauty is fleeting. That no 2 days, or bouquets, are ever quite the same. In an eco-chic living room, flowers take on new meaning. They're not about extravagance. They're about rhythm. About aligning the pace of your space with the pace of nature. Start with what's in season and what's local. Choose flowers that feel like they could have been picked just beyond your doorstep. Tulips, simple and sculptural. Daisies, bright and playful. Hyacinths, fragrant and full-bodied. Cherry blossoms, ethereal and sparse. Or even branches with new green buds, elegant in their restraint. Let the arrangement reflect your aesthetic. Don't aim for symmetry, aim for intentional imbalance. A few stems in a narrow-neck vase. A single bloom in a bud glass beside the sofa. Or a low, sprawling bouquet centered on the coffee table, slightly wild around the edges. Use natural vessels, ceramic pitchers, glass jars, hand-thrown vases with matte glaze or visible finger marks. These containers carry their own texture and history. They don't steal attention from the flowers, they support them. Place flowers where you'll notice them in motion. Near a window, where the light will shift over petals throughout the day. On your coffee table, where you'll see them each time you sit down. Or on a sideboard or shelf, where they catch your eye as you pass. and rotate them. Let your arrangements evolve with the week. One day it's a full bouquet, the next, a few survivors tucked into a smaller vessel. Let them decay gracefully. Don't rush to replace them. Notice how their color fades, how petals curl. This too is part of spring, part of the cycle. You can even forage your own if you have access, a sprig of eucalyptus, a flowering herb, a wild dandelion. These carry more meaning than store-bought arrangements ever could. They connect you to your environment. They ask you to look closer. And if you live in a place where flowers are scarce, or budgets are tight, remember, even a single stem in a glass of water can change the feeling of a room. It's not about quantity. It's about presence. Because flowers are not just visual. They are temporal. They mark time. They remind you that this season, like this bloom, is here now, and then gone. So place them with intention. Let them be part of your rhythm. Let them bring you back to the moment. And in doing so, you'll create not just a spring living room, but a room that feels alive. Every room has a scent. Even if you don't notice it immediately, it's there reshaping mood, memory, and emotion in subtle ways. And in spring, when the air itself feels fresh and full of potential, the invisible layer of scent becomes an essential part of seasonal design. Because a true spring refresh doesn't stop with surfaces. It extends to the atmosphere. The feeling in the air. Start with the foundation, fresh air. Open the windows wide, even if just for a few minutes each morning. Let the outside in, birdsong, breeze, the smell of rain on warm pavement. This is your first scent accent, nature itself. From there, build a sensory landscape that complements your eco-chic space. Opt for natural, plant-based fragrances. Avoid synthetic scents or overpowering perfumes. Instead, choose gentle, botanical aromas that feel like an extension of your indoor garden. Lavender for calm and clarity. Lemon or grapefruit for an energizing uplift. Eucalyptus for a crisp, spa-like freshness. Geranium or rosewood for soft floral warmth. Or a blend of herbs like rosemary and mint, bright, green, and grounding. There are several ways to bring these scents into your space, each with its own mood and materiality. 1. Essential oil diffusers. Choose a ceramic or glass diffuser that blends into your decor. Add just a few drops of oil, keep the blend light and avoid layering too many notes. This is not about filling the room, it's about enhancing it. Think of it like background music for your sense of smell. 2. Soy or beeswax candles. Use candles not just for scent, but for glow. Choose clean burning options, with cotton wicks and simple, elegant vessels. Remove labels for a minimalist look, or decant the wax into a vintage container for reuse. Cluster 2 or 3 candles on a tray with a flower stem or a stone. Light them in the early evening when the sun fades and softness takes over. 3. Simmer pots or stovetop brews. For an old world, handmade feel, simmer citrus slices, herbs, and whole spices in a small pot of water on the stove. Let the aroma drift naturally into your space. Lemon, rosemary, and a touch of vanilla can feel like warmth meeting freshness. For fresh herbs in water. If you prefer a visual scent combo, fill a mason jar or ceramic jug with cut herbs, mint, basil, thyme, and place it on the kitchen counter or near your reading chair. Not only do they scent the air gently, but they can be clipped for cooking or tea. Keep scent seasonal, and rotate it as spring unfolds. Start with citrus and eucalyptus early in the season, sharp and awakening. Then move into lavender, rose, or basil as the days warm, soft and lush. And most importantly, don't overwhelm the room. In a space guided by eco-chic minimalism, scent should never shout. It should whisper. Because scent is memory. Scent is emotion. It's the part of your home that lingers long after someone leaves. So design your air with care. Let it hold spring's optimism. And let it deepen the experience of your space, not just visually, but viscerally. Not every refresh needs to be a renovation. Sometimes, the most powerful transformation comes from the things you already own, waiting to be seen differently. In a spring living room rooted in eco-chic values, seasonal decorating doesn't mean adding more. It means rotating, curating, and inviting change with care. Swappable decor is the art of living with the season. It's about creating a collection of meaningful items that evolve with you through the year, items that rest, reappear, and recontextualize depending on the mood and the moment. Start by looking at what you can store and switch. Think of it like a seasonal wardrobe for your home. Textiles. Swap out heavy, textured throws from winter, like wool or faux fur, for lightweight linens, cotton gauze, or even hand-woven blankets in soft spring tones. Replace deep, dual-tone pillow covers with pastel hues, neutral earth tones, or prints that echo nature, watercolor botanicals, abstract florals, or hand-dyed textures. A light-colored textile on your sofa, a new fabric runner on your console, or even a linen drape over an armchair can change the entire energy of the room, quietly, but fully. Rugs. If you use area rugs seasonally, consider rolling up the dense, high-pile version you used in winter. Replace it with something more breathable. A flat weave cotton rug, a jute or sisal base with soft texture, or even a vintage Keelim in sun-faded tones. This change underfoot is both tactile and visual. It lightens the room from the ground up. Wall art and objects. Art is a conversation with the season. So swap moody, darker pieces for light-filled imagery. Minimalist prints in sky blues and blush. Framed pressed flowers or botanical illustrations. Or soft abstract pieces that feel like mist, breath, or early light. The same applies to decor accents. Ceramic bowls, trays, or vessels in natural glazes can be rotated in. Opt for inglazed textures, soft matte finishes, or glass pieces that catch sunlight. Even a stack of art books on your coffee table can change with the season. In spring, bring out titles on landscape painting, organic architecture, or gardening, objects that invite reflection and root your home in seasonal curiosity. Storage as rhythm. Designate a small cabinet or lidded basket where you can store out-of-season items. Not because they no longer belong, but because everything deserves a season of rest. This practice not only reduces clutter, it creates ritual. You'll begin to look forward to the act of swapping decor as a seasonal meditation, a conversation between you and your space. And remember, this isn't about chasing trends. It's about creating continuity. It's about respecting what you already have and seeing it anew. When your home responds to the world outside, when it shifts as the light does, it becomes more than a place. It becomes a living system. Something that grows, breathes, and evolves with you. That's the heart of eco-chic decor. Not accumulation, but rotation, relationship, and returning. Let your living room transform gently this spring. Not with excess, but with intention. design sustainably is to design with memory. It's to recognize that every object in our home carries a story of where it came from, what it's made of, and how it will live beyond us. In a spring living room guided by eco-chic principles, sustainable materials aren't a trend. They're a commitment. A way of weaving responsibility into beauty. This isn't about sacrificing aesthetics, it's about deepening them. Giving your space a texture that's not just visual, but ethical. Start with the surfaces you touch. Your furniture, textiles, and decor should be made from materials that feel alive, because they once were. Choose solid woods like oak, teak, or reclaimed pine. Not just for their durability, but for their grain, the visible memory of growth. Opt for rattan, bamboo, and cane, materials that grow quickly and renew naturally. Look for organic cotton, linen, and hemp in textiles. These are breathable, biodegradable, and often dyed with fewer chemicals. Use stoneware, ceramics, and recycled glass, materials with weight and origin, that patina gracefully with time. Each of these materials invites tactility. They ask to be touched, used, appreciated. They age well, not because they resist time, but because they work with it. Embrace the beauty of the second life. Sustainability also means resisting the new, when possible. Before buying, ask, can this be found vintage? Can it be repaired? Repainted? Reinvented? A mid-century coffee table with a scratched surface can be sanded and oiled to reveal its character. A dated chair can become fresh again with a linen slipcover. A mismatched set of ceramic bowls, collected over time, can become a sculptural centerpiece. Look to local thrift shops, artisan markets, or online marketplaces. These are treasure troves, not just of objects, but of stories. Bringing something old into your spring refresh adds a layer of lived-in wisdom. It softens the edges of newness. Invest in fewer, better things. In a room styled for sustainability, intentionality replaces impulse. You don't need many items. You need the right ones, the ones that were made slowly, and that you'll keep for years. Quality, durability, and beauty should align. Choose items that you could imagine passing on. A hand-thrown ceramic lamp. A well-made side table. A woven basket that's both useful and beautiful. Sustainable design doesn't shout. It doesn't dazzle. It whispers, with quiet elegance and quiet ethics. Materials as meditation. When you choose sustainable materials, you slow down the pace of consumption. You step out of the cycle of fast trends and into something deeper. More timeless. More grounded. Each texture in your living room. Each piece of fabric or grain of wood is a reminder that design is not just about how a room looks. It's about how it lives. How it supports both you and the world it comes from. So as you decorate this spring, ask yourself, is this piece aligned with the earth? Does it reflect my values as well as my style? If the answer is yes, then it belongs. Not just in your room, but in your life. Light defines a space, its shape, its rhythm, its soul. But beyond aesthetics, light is energy. It's one of the most powerful ways your home interacts with the environment. And in an eco-chic spring living room, lighting should do more than illuminate, it should harmonize. With nature. With function. With conscience. Spring gives us more daylight. The sun lingers longer. Shadows soften. This is the season to celebrate natural light, and to make wise choices about the light we add after dusk. Let's begin with a simple truth: not all light is equal. 1. The power of the switch, LED and smart bulbs. Start by replacing traditional incandescent bulbs with LED alternatives. They use up to 80% less energy and last exponentially longer. Choose warm white tones, around 2700 to 3000 K, for a cozy, evening ambience that mimics the softness of natural dusk. Take it a step further with smart lighting, bulbs or systems that adapt. Some can adjust brightness automatically based on the time of day. Others can be controlled from your phone, allowing you to create lighting scenes for morning, afternoon, or evening moods. But remember, technology should support calm, not clutter. Choose smart devices that integrate seamlessly, visually and practically. Let them fade into the background and work quietly in your favor. 2. Material matters, fixtures with earth in mind. When choosing lighting fixtures, look for materials that echo your eco-conscious values. Wood, bamboo, and rattan lamp bases add warmth and tactility. Ceramic pendants, especially those with hand-thrown imperfections, soften overhead spaces. Recycled glass or matte metal finishes add contrast without harshness. If possible, support local makers or vintage sellers. Sourcing your lighting can become part of the design story. A fixture with a past always adds more than just illumination, it adds soul. 3. Light as a layer. In sustainable design, lighting isn't an afterthought, it's a layered composition. Break your lighting down into 3 types. Ambient light, the room's general glow, often from overhead fixtures or large lamps. Task lighting, focus sources, like reading lamps or undershelf LEDs. Accent lighting, soft pools of light that highlight objects, textures, or create mood. Each of these layers should be intentional and adjustable. Use dimmer switches or smart bulbs to shift from bright morning clarity to twilight calm. This reduces energy consumption and brings your lighting into alignment with circadian rhythm, your body's natural sense of time. 4. Daylight as design. Before reaching for artificial light, look at what the sun is offering. Position seating to catch the morning light. Let natural rays fall on a reading nook or coffee table. Use mirrors to reflect and extend daylight deeper into the space. Install sheer curtains that filter without blocking. And always consider this, when your lighting design starts with the sun, you use less energy. You feel more aligned with the world outside. You live seasonally. 5. Beauty in restraint. Finally, let your lighting remain subtle. A well-placed table lamp, a single pendant over a reading chair, or a tiny battery-powered bulb under a shelf may be all you need. In eco-chic interiors, excess light is visual noise. Let your room have shadows. Let it shift as the day turns. Because good lighting doesn't demand attention. It supports presence. It invites you to stay a little longer. To notice more. To slow down. Lighting, at its best, is both gentle on the planet and nourishing to the soul. So this spring, illuminate not just your living room, but your values. And let every light you choose reflect both your style and your stewardship. In an eco-chic spring living room, sustainability isn't just in the materials, it's in the mindset. Because the most beautiful spaces often come not from what we add, but from what we choose to let go. Minimal waste design asks a quiet question. What do I truly need to feel at peace here? And the answer is rarely more. This isn't about deprivation. It's about discernment. About creating a space where every item serves a purpose, whether functional, emotional, or spiritual. Here's how to begin. 1. Practice intentional curation. Before you buy anything new, pause. Look around your space and ask yourself, is there something I already own that could be reused or repurposed? Can I shift, rotate, or restyle a piece instead of replacing it? A basket that held winter scarves might now hold spring florals. A ceramic cup becomes a holder for Palo Santo or loose change. A folded linen tablecloth can be reborn as a light throw. By extending the life of your belongings, you reduce waste and deepen the stories within your home. 2. Repurpose with creativity. Get in the habit of seeing potential, not just products. Glass jars become vases. Candle tins become planters for succulents. Old picture frames can be painted in fresh tones and filled with pressed flowers or handwritten quotes. Even leftover fabric scraps can be turned into drawer liners, coasters, or wall hangings. This kind of creative reuse not only keeps waste out of landfills, it makes your space more personal, more yours. Because nothing is more unique than something you made or reimagined with your own hands. 3. Choose timeless over trendy. Trends come and go, but nature, simplicity, and craft endure. When purchasing new decor, lean toward neutral palettes, natural materials, and classic forms. Avoid fast fashion decor, cheaply made, short-lived items that don't age well. Ask yourself, will I still love this next spring? Can this item work across multiple seasons with small adjustments? If the answer is yes, you're choosing not just beauty, but longevity. 4. Buy less, but better. If minimalism is part of your eco-chic ethos, your home should feel spacious and calm, not packed with too many small objects. Each piece should have room to breathe. Instead of filling every corner with decor, invest in a few high-quality, multifunctional, or artisan-crafted items. A handcrafted ceramic lamp. A solid wood side table. A large format print that sets the tone for the whole room. These pieces don't just decorate. They anchor. And they often last longer, which means less waste over time. 5. Rethink disposal. If something no longer fits your space or needs, resist the urge to throw it away. Instead, donate it to a local shelter or thrift store. Offer it to a friend or neighbor through a local swap group. Upcycle it into something new. Or, if needed, recycle responsibly. Even small acts of mindful disposal contribute to a larger ethic of care. And they remind us that our choices ripple beyond our homes. 6. Let space be sacred. Perhaps the most radical thing you can do in a spring refresh is to leave space empty. Not every wall needs art. Not every shelf needs styling. Not every surface needs something sitting on it. In minimal waste interiors, space is not lack. It is invitation. An invitation to breathe, to be present, to allow your mind to settle. It's a quiet act of design. And a powerful one. This is the beauty of designing with minimal waste. You don't just reduce what goes into the trash. You reduce what clutters your life. You refine your space into something clear, quiet, and fully alive. Because in the end, your home is not a display, it's a practice. And minimalism, when rooted in sustainability, becomes a daily ritual of gratitude, choice, and lightness. In the language of eco-chic design, space is not what's left behind, it's what you create. It's where your eye can rest. Where sunlight moves freely. Where energy flows without resistance. And in spring, when the natural world opens up with softness and air, your living room should do the same. Creating open space isn't just about moving furniture. It's about releasing the excess. It's about honoring the truth that quiet is powerful. 1. Begin with release. Before adding anything new, consider what might be gently removed. A side table that blocks natural light. An armchair you never sit in. A shelf filled with objects that no longer reflect your story. Ask yourself, does this serve me right now, in this season of lightness? You don't have to throw it away, just relocate or store it. Think of this not as subtraction, but seasonal editing. Your home, like nature, has rhythms. Let it shed. Let it breathe. 2. Float, don't push. Furniture placement plays a major role in spatial energy. Instead of pushing everything against the walls, try floating key pieces, like your sofa or chairs, slightly inward. This softens the space and creates more natural walkways and zones. The area between furniture and wall becomes a kind of negative space. It helps light circulate. It gives the illusion of air. It creates room, not just for movement, but for mental clarity. A room feels more expansive not when it's bigger, but when it's unburdened. 3. Let the floor speak. Open space starts from the ground up. A clear, breathable floor feels clean and sacred. Avoid cluttering it with small objects. Instead of lots of small rugs, use one large, light-toned area rug to ground the room and create visual cohesion. If your rug is already large, ensure that at least the front legs of your seating rest on it. This unifies the furniture and gives the room a floating island effect. You can even leave one part of the room completely bare, a patch of open floor for stretching, meditation, or simply walking barefoot and feeling grounded. 4. Define without dividing. If your living room is part of an open-plan space, you can define areas using subtle design cues without creating hard borders. Use a single area rug to distinguish the lounge zone, a floor lamp or tall plant as a soft visual boundary, or a change in material, like a woven bench next to a linen sofa, to suggest transitions in purpose. This approach keeps your layout fluid, while still giving each area a clear intention. 5. Silence as a design element. What you don't place in a room is just as important as what you do. Leave a wall bare. Let a corner remain open. Give your windows room to cast light without obstruction. This silence creates contrast. It makes the textures, objects, and colors you do choose stand out. It invites awareness. It turns your home into a space of mindfulness, not just decoration. In the design philosophy of Charette Theory, open space is sanctuary. It's not empty, it's full of possibility. So this spring, resist the urge to fill. Instead, make space for light to dance, for air to flow, for thoughts to settle. Because in a world that so often tells us to accumulate, your home can become a gentle rebellion. A place where less is not less, but lightness. And where openness is not absence, but abundance. Every living room has corners. But not every corner is used with intention. In eco-chic spring design, a Zen corner is a sanctuary within a sanctuary, a quiet, softened pocket where the noise of the world fades and stillness begins. It doesn't need to be large or lavish. It only needs to be intentional. Because sometimes, all it takes is a single chair and a shaft of sunlight to transform a space into peace. 1. Choose your corner thoughtfully. Look for a place with natural light, perhaps near a window that catches the morning sun, or a quiet edge of the room that naturally draws less traffic. Your Zen corner should feel a little separate, but not isolated. It's a space you return to not for work or entertainment, but for being. For pausing. It could be nestled beneath a plant shelf, beside a low cabinet, or even tucked into a space you've never thought of using before. Let it feel slightly apart. A room within a room. 2. Anchor with comfort. Start with a chair or cushion that invites the body to relax. A low-profile armchair in soft linen. A floor cushion in organic cotton. A small poof or daybed. Choose something that grounds you physically, but doesn't demand space. Add a lightweight throw or a linen blanket to soften the experience. Spring is the season of gentle warmth. A draped fabric becomes both comfort and form. If space allows, include a small table or stool, just enough for a book, a candle, or a cup of tea. It doesn't need to be styled. It needs to be useful. 3. Surround with symbols of calm. This is where form becomes atmosphere. Consider including a small indoor plant, a symbol of life and breath. A candle in a subtle, calming scent, like chamomile, green tea, or sandalwood. A natural object, a stone, a feather, a branch. Something from the outside world that reminds you to stay grounded. A book of poetry, or a simple journal. These aren't decorations. They're anchors. Small, quiet cues that this is a place to return to yourself. 4. Light it gently. If your Zen corner is near a window, let daylight be the first source of illumination. But for early mornings or twilight hours, add soft lighting. A small ceramic lamp with a warm LED bulb. a lantern with a dimmable switch, even a cordless, rechargeable lamp that casts a golden pool. Avoid overhead glare or cool-toned light. Let the glow here feel held, like a pause between notes in a song. 5. Use it. A Zen corner is not just for looks, it's for use. Come here for 5 minutes each morning, or in the quiet before bed. Bring nothing but your breath, or a cup of tea, or a page of something slow. Let it become a ritual, a habit of stillness inside a busy home. Over time, the space begins to hold memory. Your body associates it with calm. Your mind softens upon arrival. It becomes not just a corner, but a practice. A Zen corner is a form of eco-conscious design, too. Because in creating space for inner peace, you consume less. You chase less. You realize that the most essential luxuries are quiet, comfort, and light. And this spring, as the world blooms outside your windows, your Zen corner becomes the place you bloom inward. And there you have it, your complete guide to crafting an eco-chic spring living room that's not just styled for the season, but aligned with it. In this space, you've welcomed light. You've made room for nature. You've chosen simplicity, not as an absence, but as a path to presence. You've honored the earth in your materials, your colors, your choices. And perhaps most importantly, you've honored yourself with a home that offers breadth, beauty, and ease. Remember, you don't need to transform everything all at once. Even one small shift, a plant placed near a window, a throw exchanged for a lighter tone, a new habit of sitting in stillness, can change the energy of your living room and of your life. Because spring isn't just a visual season. It's an emotional one. It reminds us that everything can begin again. That freshness is possible. That clarity is close. And when your home reflects that feeling, it becomes a kind of mirror, showing you who you are when you live lightly, creatively, and intentionally. If you found value in today's journey, please take a moment to like, comment, and subscribe to Charette Theory. Your engagement helps grow a community that believes design isn't just about appearance, it's about alignment. We'd love to hear how you're bringing spring into your own home. Share your ideas, your favorite corners, or your eco-friendly tips in the comments below. Until next time, stay inspired, stay intentional, and let nature lead the way.